NFL New Year. It is time for Sports for CLE. The NFL's 2021 season begins right now. That means all of the negotiations and free agent deals that have been agreed to the past 2 days can be finalized. It also means that all of the contracts for 2021 take effect beginning right now in the NFL. A lot to talk to. We will be joined by Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer, Ellis Williams. We'll talk plenty of Browns free agency, some Browns draft, and how that shakes out. We will also be joined by cleveland.com columnist Doug Lesmerises. We'll get his unique takes on the Browns, as well as Ohio State's spring football getting ready to start in just a couple of days, and the Buckeyes basketball team getting ready for March Madness. But we begin with NFL free agent season, and the Browns haven't been terribly active, but they have been effective. They've signed 2 guys, and CBS Sports nationally grades the Browns with an A for signing John Johnson, the safety, as well as Takk McKinley, the defensive lineman, the edge rusher. Somehow they got Johnson, one of the top young safeties on the market, at a great value. And finally, Cleveland has itself playmaking leader for the back half of its defense. McKinley is just fine as a high upsided flyer too. Grade A for Andrew Berry and the Browns front office on those 2 signings. Let's welcome in Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Ellis, they graded an A. What do you think of John Johnson? I know he's a guy you liked a lot.
Yeah, Dave, I really like how you put that the Browns weren't all that active, but they were effective. And that's exactly what happened here. Somehow the Browns landed John Johnson, who, when you put on the tape from really 2018 through 2020, he had a banged up season in 2019 there in the middle, injuries. If you go check out, his Pro Football Focus page and whatnot, you might see a little bit more orange and red than you'd like, but that was mostly injury related. His 2 big seasons again, 2018, 2020, playing for Wade Phillips in 2018, and then Brandon Staley in 2020. I think he comes from a great pedigree, and the value that they got him for. Mary Kay Cabot, my colleague, reporting that he took significantly less money to come to the Browns, competing against teams like the Eagles and the Jaguars, just to name a few, that were willing to offer him probably $3 to $4 million more. That number is not official by any means, but when you look at the free agent market, he comes in right around 11 or 12 million annually. And from Buda Baker down to Eddie Jackson to Kenneth Bird, those guys are $15-14 million a year players. So to land a player of his caliber, 25 years old, honestly can play everywhere, 4 spots. I counted. He'll play free. He can play strong safety down in the box. So he's a deep center fielder. He's a box defender. He can cover in the slot, both versus tight ends and bigger receivers. I don't think it's a tough matchup with quick, twitchier guys, but that's going to be tough for anybody. And then he can play some middle linebacker. The Rams led the NFL in 2 high safety looks. Light boxes, only having 7 guys in the box, yet the Rams were a top 5 run defense. Now that has a lot to do with Aaron Donald, but it also speaks to John Johnson's ability to play both the pass and the run simultaneously, instinctively. And I think one thing Browns fans really need to know about John Johnson, aside from going to watch the tape or the story I wrote on him that really details, I think, the intricacies of his game. A year ago when Brandon Staley was interviewing for the Rams defensive coordinator job, he told Sean McVay that he envisioned building his defense around Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and John Johnson. Now, we know why you'd build a defense around Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, right? Arguably, really not even arguably, the best defensive lineman and the best cover guy in this league. But then to put John Johnson's name in there and to trust him with really 1/3 of the responsibility. He was a captain at 25 years old. He wore the green dot in his helmet, meaning he was the communicator, the middle linebacker. He never came off the field. For the price and his upside, the Browns landed a stud, and it's going to be exciting to see what he's able to do. He's both a guy who won't come off the field, an insurance policy to grant Delpit's recovery, and gives Joe Woods the ability to play 3 safeties at once, which we all know he's been dying to do.
Well, obviously, the big names are the edge rushers. but do you think this addresses perhaps what was the biggest need? How many times did the Browns get beat deep in the middle? How many years has it been that tight ends have been just terrorizing Browns defenses?
It's a good question. A lot of it comes down to football philosophy, right? Two things. I'll table the football philosophy thing for a second. First of all, it's just important to note that this is Grant Delpit insurance. So for a guy coming off of an Achilles injury, I don't think it says anything that they're worried about his recovery. It's just pure insurance, talent at a really fair number. And then as for what they're looking for, they had a huge plan for Grant Delpit to be that guy a year ago. Of course, that didn't pan out due to injury. Now they have him, regardless. And if you have two of them, once Grant Delpit's fully healthy and he could mature into the player that Joe Woods and Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski clearly think he has the potential to be, drafting him in the second round, then the Browns are going to be very difficult to attack in the middle of the field, which is the complete opposite of what has been really the Achilles heel of this defense for the past few seasons.
The other thing, a young guy, an ascending guy, it's not a guy that's 30-some years old, so he fits that analytics mold of let's get a guy after his rookie contract because he's still trending up.
Yeah, and he just fits the age group of this team, right? The Denzel Ward, Grady Williams, Myles Garrett. When you're trying to build a nucleus, and then you look on the offensive side of the ball, of course, with the undisputed leader in Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. This is a Jedrick Wills. This is a team with a young core that isn't inexperienced. They're just in that perfect, if this was a college thing, like junior to senior year, maybe some fifth-year seniors there on this Browns team, and John Johnson fits right in there. I think it's important to note that, talking about the philosophy decision that I tabled there for a second on whether, do cover guys stop the quarterback because they're locked onto the receiver, then allowing your pass rush a second more to get to the quarterback, or do you need a pass rush in order for your cover guys not to have to cover forever until someone eventually gets open? That's a philosophy, right? Like, which one's more important? The Browns here probably signal that in the first 48 hours or so of free agency, I'll say that they signal that secondary is more important. But I'll say that no one wants to become the Tennessee Titans, right? Browns fans saw what a team that can't create pressure, what a defense that can't create pressure looks like. The Browns were only 24th in pressure rate this year. That isn't going to get better because John Johnson's on the team. Now, maybe Joe Woods blitzes more. We can get into that stuff later, but they still have some stuff to address there. But shoring up the middle of the field was a huge first step in really remaking this entire defense, and especially the back seven.
Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. We're going to take a quick timeout. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll take a closer look at Takk McKinley, the other free agent signing for the Browns, another young guy, an edge rusher. We'll also see who's coming and who's going for the Browns, who they signed, who did other teams sign. As always, you can leave us your thoughts on the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6655. The Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. We're going to take a quick time out. Ellis and I will be back to talk Takk McKinley. It's Sports 4 CLE. Stay with us.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports 4 CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We're going to continue talking Browns free agency. Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the page of the Plain Dealer, will join us in just a minute. The second day free agent signing was a young guy, Takk McKinley, a defensive end. Browns tried to pick him up a couple of times last year on waivers. He never made him down to the Browns level of that waiver wire because the Browns had one of the better records in the NFL. But McKinley was a guy the Browns liked. Coming out of UCLA, he was regarded as a really good pass rusher, one of the best in his draft class, was taken 25th overall by the Atlanta Falcons. Let's get to meet Takk McKinley a little closer.
Takk McKinley is laid back, chill, just a person that just loved to watch cartoons, to be honest with you. I mean, I love SpongeBob.
I'm ready.
I love the Fairly Odd Parents. I mean, I like to smile, I like to laugh.
He just pulled right inside and smothers. Getting chased by McKinley. Down he goes.
Takk McKinley,
Can't break away.
defensive end,
And they've got him.
UCLA.
It's Takk McKinley.
I got a lot of heart. I play with a lot of anger. That's just give me that motor to get the quarterback.
Sacked again. Takk McKinley. Back-to-back sacks.
Say the NFL is a passing league now. I feel like I'm the best pass rusher in this class. And if you need a pass rusher, I'm the one.
McKinley with the sack. Now the Bruins are fired up.
Born in Oakland, California, raised in Richmond, California. There's a lot of distractions out there as far as gangs, violence, drugs. Never met my dad, don't know who he is. Mom left when I was 5 years old. Luckily for me, I had family, especially my grandma. Her work was to collect cans and bottles to pay the rent. I mean, I feel like my job, my duty was to help her collect cans, or otherwise we'll be homeless. There was times where I didn't have a bed, so when I did go to UCLA and I had dorms with beds in it, it was weird for me to sleep in one. She was everything to me. The day she passed away, I made a promise to her, which was I'm gonna go to Division I, I'm gonna get out of Richmond, and I'm gonna live my dream, which is playing NFL. So when draft day come around, you most definitely will see tears from me, because I could have easily went the other way. Now that the promise is almost complete, it's time for me to get to work.
Takk McKinley was the 26th overall pick in that 2017 draft, first-round pick of the Atlanta Falcons. Let's welcome back in Ellis Williams. And Ellis, you see Takk, a guy that is easy to wish good things on, hope that he can get things rolling again. Had a couple of productive first two seasons, has been banged up. Shoulder injuries, groin injuries. That led to him being released. That was one of the reasons that he was released by the Falcons. Failed a couple of the physicals. The Browns wanted him. They kept putting in waiver claims and just couldn't get him. This time they were able to sign him in free agency. A low-risk, high-reward kind of guy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's wild that was already 4 drafts ago. Impossible not to root for Takk. His story is rooted in pain, and really you hear his honesty when he says he plays angry and plays with that emotion on the field because it translates to the tape. I see a young man with an extremely high motor, determination to get the quarterback, not all that refined move set, meaning I don't see a lot of cross chops. I don't see the most detailed hand fighting. I don't see a flashy spin or a Myles Garrett Euro step, which is okay. A lot of pass rushers in this league win off motor, high want, and just raw power and speed. He provides a lot of that. I have concerns in his ability to defend his run, the commitment to defend the run. He was never really asked to do that in Atlanta. You can tell in that draft highlight reel that he didn't have much interest in doing it in college. Not a lot of these top pass rushers do. I get it. But he's going to have to be able to do that to be a 3-down defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. Again, he was not that in Atlanta, played primarily on passing downs. And he is effective when he can get after right tackles, backup tackles. I don't think he has a whole lot to offer against other teams' top tackle or top 20, top 15 tackles, but that's okay. That's what Myles Garrett is for. There's a lot to like about Takk. I don't think Browns fans can say that this defensive end position or the defensive end 2 spot next to Myles Garrett or bookending Myles Garrett is solidified yet. If it works out, it's a nice signing for really only $1 million or $2 million more with incentives than the other guy, Adrian Claiborne, was getting to you, who 7 years older than Takk. So a lot to like, but still a long ways to go till we see consistent on-field production.
Oh, that question. But the one thing is, he hasn't played with a guy like Myles Garrett before. So that's the other thing. He's kind of been the focus of pass rush. So I get what Andrew Berry sees. Let's put him in a complementary role where that high motor and effort is going to beat one-on-one, and it's much tougher to beat double teams when you don't have refined moves.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's not going to be asked to be the number one pass rusher on this team. And the same can be said for guys that they were pursuing like Trey Hendrickson or Carl Lawson. That's why I thought it was interesting when the Bengals lose Carl Lawson and then just try to replace him with Trey Hendrickson. Like, I get it. You lose someone, you replace them, but you have to be more attentive about what you're asking them to do for your football team. And the Browns knew that whoever they brought in was going to be a secondary pass rusher and not be asked to carry the whole workload. It's a perfect situation for Takk to really revive his career and perhaps find a new long-term home here in Cleveland.
Well, let's take a little scorecard. Who's coming, who's going? So we know the two that are coming, John Johnson, Takk McKinley. And when you see the guys that are leaving, Kendall Lamb, Terrence Mitchell, Vincent Taylor, to me, Ellis, this speaks to how nice of a job the Browns front office did upgrading that roster, because those are complementary fill-in, secondary pieces that other teams want to pay to bring in and make an impact on their roster.
Yeah, the Browns they made their one splash. A year ago, they had 2 big splashes in Austin Hooper and Jack Conklin, and now with just the John Johnson signing and for the value that they got it is really a slight alteration of what they did a year ago. And you have to feel comfortable with what the Browns are doing. It's neither overly aggressive nor dormant like the Indianapolis Colts, who have a ton of cap space and still haven't done much of anything with it, if anything. There's still some pieces that need to be sorted out. Of course, we're early. We're right around the corner with the new league year. Happy League New Year. How you open the show, I like that. It's the truth. Terrence Mitchell's one that I would have liked to see stay in Cleveland, but I understand why it didn't work out. He led the Browns in snaps last year, 2 really solid years. But as of right now, if that's the one guy walking, and if there is one more after that, I see that too. But all in all, these are some pretty calculated moves and ones that position the Browns to add more pieces as we head towards the draft.
Yeah, without question. So we're going to step aside and take a quick timeout. When we return, we'll take a look at who is still available out there in free agency. Some people the Browns may be looking at a couple of the key positions. Ellis Williams and I, Browns beat reporter from cleveland.com, as well as the Plain Dealer, will be right back after this timeout. It's Sports 4 CLE. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Sports 4 CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We're going to continue talking Browns on this first day of the NFL new league year. Happy New Year, everyone, from the NFL. Ellis Williams and I. Ellis, the more I watch Andrew Berry work, the more impressed I am. The modern NFL is all about being able to manage the salary cap, address needs, and not overspend. And I think Andrew Berry very much resisted the urge to go crazy and make a big splash with some of these edge rushers that he quite honestly didn't place the value on that they were getting from other teams. And sometimes that's tough to do, but the smart GMs, and Andrew Berry is proving to be one, are able to do that and manage the cap.
Yeah, I think one real interesting thing going on with Andrew Berry in this Browns front office that we're learning, aside from positional value, their love for analytics, their belief in it, their tendency to lean towards Pro Football Focus's thought process, is that they are comfortable drawing a hard line in the sand. You know, when it comes to negotiations, they're not going to go over a certain number, whether it was for J.J. Watt or Yannick Ngakoue or Trey Hendrickson or Carl Lawson. Not that the Browns offered all those guys, I'm saying, or was the highest bidder on all those guys. It's just there's clearly, to your point, a line that they're not willing to cross, and that is being calculated. It is taking emotion out of it, trusting your process, your coaches to develop talent, and believing that it will all work out, assuming you stay true to your board, stay true to your meetings and the things you decided months ago before we even got to free agency. So I completely agree with you.
Let's take a look at some of the names that are still out there. There are some interesting names. I don't know that they are necessarily big names. You know, when you look at the defensive tackles, Solomon Thomas is an intriguing one. I know you like him. We'll get your thoughts on him in a minute. You also have Richard Sherman, a veteran guy who admits his market has been moving in slow motion, is the quote he used. Adoree Jackson, an intriguing one, a younger guy, former first-round pick with speed, was released by the Titans yesterday. Then you see the edge rushers, and there's something that is questionable about each and every one of these. Ingram's coming off injury, is a little old. Reddick isn't your prototypical guy, had one big year last year and A bunch of his sacks were in one game. Clowney has been banged up. When you look at those names, Ellis, who do you like and what do you like about them from those names on the board?
Yeah, one thing to just keep in mind, a safe, hard and fast rule in free agency, aside from the emotional overspending teams that seem difficult to predict, the Raiders, the Jets, the Jets of old, they're doing okay this year. But my point being, when it comes to teams like the Browns that we just laid out in your last question and how they think about and approach free agency, is fit and price. Those are the two main things, with price being, the main decider, with then fit, of course, needing to be something you trust your coaches with and that they will make this player work for you. So when you look at that list, I see fit when it comes to Solomon Thomas across that defensive line. I think that unless they bring up someone who I'll talk about in a second, I think that this defensive line, the defensive end 2 spot, the spot Larry Ogunjobi filled, the 3 technique at D tackle, those spots feel like revolving doors right now, and the Browns need some versatility. Solomon Thomas is a guy from the 49ers, top 5 pick, didn't quite pan out, but had some just solid productive years. Like if he was a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round pick, he probably would have a lot better reputation in this league, but because he didn't live up to that original draft point where being a multi-sack year type of guy, he's not talked about as much. The Browns can probably bring him into Berea for about between $4 and $6 million. Connection with Joe Woods in their time in San Francisco. Again, a guy versatile who can play both inside and out, and that's what the Browns are looking for in the defensive line. There's clearly a theme going on with the Browns too, targeting players looking for their second contract, younger, cheaper, versatile, athletic. Dory Jackson fits that. Jackson is a guy who had the 4th highest outside corner grade since coming into the league, behind only, the past 4 years behind only like Jair Alexander, Stephon Gilmore. There's one more on that list. I'm blanking on it, but impressive company for Dory Jackson to be in. Banged up this past year. The Titans didn't have a good pass rush. So a guy who probably some value there, definitely a name to watch. And the last one I'm going to link the Browns to, who doesn't fit the bill of the second contract in youth, but just because of what happened with Takk McKinley, there's something to a continued interest in Jadeveon Clowney. We've talked about this almost for a full calendar year now. Clowney's constant flirtation or back and forth with the Browns, it seems to be present and constant in a way. Clowney here could make a lot of sense. PFF's big on him. I'm not as high on him, but he is a guy as a number 2 could really not revive his career, but have a career type season playing next to Myles Garrett. I don't think guys like Richard Sherman or Melvin Ingram make a lot of sense. Richard Sherman, specifically an outside guy, he'll probably want a little bit more money. Melvin Ingram in that same category. But those first 3 I mentioned make sense due to fit, price, and then just a connection to the coaching staff. And if there's anywhere the Browns may go aside from a trade, I think those are the 3 names to watch.
How important do you think it is important that the Browns sign a veteran? We've talked about they have a number of these guys that are 25, 26 years old, 4th, 5th year in the league. Is there some value to having a guy like, I don't know, Richard Sherman, who's been there, done that, and that might be a bad analogy just because you said, you think he's going to get more money. But somebody that can say, guys, we're really good. You guys are really good. I've been there. This is what a Super Bowl defense looks like.
It's a great point. I think there's 2 things we got to keep in mind. The Browns are building that confidence in-house organically. This is a team that really dethroned the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, and that's going to carry them into this season. They were a snap away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs, despite Patrick Mahomes not playing for 23 minutes. That's still a confidence booster going in to Arrowhead like that. So that's happening organically. They still have guys like Sheldon Richardson, who just have that natural age and have been in a few locker rooms and have been on some winning teams. But I do think one more veteran presence perhaps on the back end does make some sense. I'll say this about Richard Sherman, though I still don't think he's a guy that ends up here. Outside corner and slot corner are 2 spots the Browns still need to address. I'm confident they'll do it either in free agency or the draft. I've been saying it before this all started, right? That is a spot, a veteran in the secondary could make a lot of sense. And I understand why Richard Sherman would fit. If it is Richard Sherman, let's just go down this rabbit hole. It tells me a few things about Greedy Williams, that they're not 100% sure on his week one availability, don't want to throw him out there as a day one starter. You can talk me into this stuff, but I'm going to go right back to how I started this. It's all going to come down to price.
Oh, I agree 100% about price. It has to fit within what Andrew Berry has designed, and I think, again, I applaud Andrew Berry for that. That's how you maintain the flexibility, and you don't get into the salary cap nightmare that some teams are in right now. We're going to step aside, take one more time out. When we return, we'll talk to Ellis Williams about what Joe Woods' defense will look like when it is able to do the things Joe Woods would like it to do. Sports 4 CLE. We'll be right back talking Browns defense with Ellis Williams after this timeout.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports 4 CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We're going to continue talking Browns football as the new league year is underway. That means all these deals that we've been talking about can finally become official. We're going to have Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as Plain Dealer, join us again. Ellis, you watch as much tape of this stuff as anybody. When Joe Woods gets the pieces in place, what's this defense going to look like? What can we expect?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I know, what I'm confident about with this defense, and then I'll give you some advanced thought on where it could possibly be going. Right now, I think it's becoming pretty clear that Joe Woods wants to be multiple. He wants to be versatile on the back end. He wants to play less linebackers, more safeties, be able to match against some of the better tight ends in this league, shut down that middle of the field that teams like the Baltimore Ravens expose so well. He wants to be able to pressure with four. He wants to be able to slide his defensive ends, his tackles in and out, stunt, twist, keep offensive linemen uncomfortable and create pressure when the quarterback's not expecting it. That's where this defense seems to be trending. A 4-2-5. We've talked about that on here before. 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. And if he can have 1 backer on there and play 6 DBs, I think he would like that as well. One variation I'm curious to see, because we saw a lot of, it's going to be an oversimplification, and if Joe Woods heard this, it would be disrespectful, but the Browns played a lot of vanilla coverage, meaning when you saw 2 high safety, you were getting cover 4 for the most part. When you saw 1 high, it was cover 3 or cover 1. You really just knew what you were going to get from the Browns. If they couldn't get to the quarterback with 4, the quarterback was usually going to find an open guy, right? Well, I'm wondering if Joe Woods would like to blitz some more this upcoming season. The Browns were one of the teams that had the lowest blitz percentage. I think it was in the low 20s, and I think they were in the bottom 10 for blitzing, which speaks to the philosophy of playing coverage, rushing 4, dropping 7. But when you're throwing 3 real versatile safeties out there, imagine Grant Delpit, John Johnson, and Ronnie Harrison all on the field, right? You see Ronnie Harrison lurking over the furthest outside tight end. You see Grant Delpit perhaps in the slot, manning a slot receiver or a tight end, and then you see John Johnson deep in a 1 high look, right? Well, what if he just sends one of those guys off the edge and gets after the quarterback? John Johnson has history doing it. Ronnie does too, and I'm sure Grant Delpit's capable. So if I had to bet, or I'm extremely confident that this will be a 4-2-5 defense that rushes 4 and plays coverage and wins that way. But I'm curious with the allotment of a surplus of talented safeties he has now, if he won't be a little more tempted to send an extra rusher and bring 5 and create more chaos, some simulated blitzing at opposing offenses this upcoming season.
Where do you think they go with that first pick with the first round pick? So it'd be the 26th overall pick. Is it an edge rusher? Is it a cornerback? Is it whichever of those 2 really pop? Because those would be the 2 areas that you would think need to be deep and strong.
I would still love for them to go linebacker. If you're going to have 1 stud on the field at that position or on your roster, you're going to have a chance to find him at 26. I've detailed how these past few years teams have found their linebackers of the future in that late teen to mid-20 selection. If they don't go there, then I think edge rusher is the spot to watch. Kwity Paye, Jalen Phillips, Greg Rousseau, those are 2 Miami guys, paid from Michigan. Those guys may not be there at 26. Perhaps the Browns trade up. I know I get pushback on Twitter when I suggest this front office trading up. I get that they don't have much history of doing it, just with Andrew Berry's philosophies, and we really only have 1 draft to go off to keep in mind. But if they don't land Clowney, they're going to need someone to take a lot of snaps there. And I don't know if you can trust a 2nd or 3rd round guy to do that. And edge rushers are going to fly off this draft board as they do each year by the time you get to 26. So I still would like to see linebacker, watch edge rusher, and it's a cop-out, but DB makes sense too. If a guy falls and they really like him and they think that they can pair him with Denzel Ward and then have an embarrassment of riches once a healthy Greedy Williams comes back, they're not gonna hesitate to do that either. It all depends where it falls, but watch edge rusher because that spot needs to be solidified between now and August, and the free agent market's getting thin, and those edge rushers go early in the draft.
Last thing I'll ask you before I let you go, everybody focused so much on a big name edge rusher. I think, and Andrew Berry alluded to this in his end of the season pre-free agent press conference when he said, there are a number of ways to accomplish that aren't necessarily focusing in on an edge rusher. And I think, when you look at it, Browns are they have a better defense now than they did a couple of days ago, just by the move of John Johnson and Takk McKinley.
Sure, I completely agree with that. I think one thing to keep in mind is with Joe Woods coming from San Francisco, they had a history, a philosophy of drafting defensive linemen and then not paying them. DeForest Buckner was traded to the Colts last offseason, and then they just replaced him with their first-round pick and let the Colts give him a market-setting contract. Obviously, this team paid Myles Garrett, but point being, they could bring that philosophy back, saying, no, we trust our defensive line coach and Chris Kiffin up front. We trust Joe Woods to have creative ways to get after the quarterback. Perhaps they do blitz more like I suggested, and they find a way, again, to simulate those pressures. You can simulate pressure and then still only bring 4. And if you confuse the quarterback, that's the goal. There's a lot of ways to do this. And I think Andrew Berry, that might have been a grain of honesty that we don't get a lot from this regime. Not that they don't tell us the truth, they just play coy often. And I think reading into that is a smart thing to do.
All right, Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Great stuff as always. Appreciate the insight and the time. Thanks very much, Ellis.
Thanks, man. Happy New Year.
All right, NFL New Year underway. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, more Browns. Cleveland.com columnist as well as Plain Dealer columnist Doug Lesmerises. We'll talk more Browns. We'll also shift our focus as Ohio State spring football and NCAA March Madness for the Buckeyes right around the corner. Sports 4 CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Welcome back to Sports 4 CLE. I'm Dave Bacon. We continue to talk Browns football and some news coming. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reporting that the Browns are close to re-signing Malcolm Smith, former Super Bowl MVP. Did a nice job playing linebacker, kind of mixing it up. Didn't start, but did see some playing time. All right, time to welcome in Doug Lesmerises. Doug is a columnist here on cleveland.com as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Doug, appreciate the time. When you look at what the Browns have done, one the big splashy name defensive end that's going to get after somebody. Are they a better defense than they were 2 days ago before this free agent tampering period began?
Yeah. And I never thought they were going big money for defensive end. I know a lot of people did. Takk McKinley was the guy I targeted. I thought second tier, don't get caught up in the big money defensive ends that were flying off the board. I thought safety was the priority. I think John Johnson makes a lot of sense. John Johnson makes them a lot better. He stitches together everything they want to do. I know Ellis just talked about it. Everybody's talking about it. They are going to be this 3 safety look. Those 3 guys, if healthy, are going to be on the field together, but it's also a hedge against Grant Delpit. If he's not completely healthy and ready to go to start the year, you at least have 2 safeties you can rely on. So what they've done is exactly what I thought they would do. And I think a lot of this offseason, people have overemphasized the need to get a second edge rusher. This is not normal. It's not like everybody in the league, when you have Myles Garrett, then pays somebody else $12 or $13 million on the other side. That's not how it works. A lot of these guys who are flying off the board are being paid to go be that new team's Myles Garrett. The Browns already have Myles Garrett. So I think Takk McKinley makes a lot of sense as the guy on the other side, and I also think they'll address it in the draft.
How impressive is what Andrew Berry has done again? I mean, you can see the thinking, the thought process. He's got an eye on improving this, but he's not going crazy. That would put him in a cap nightmare down the road.
You know, we've been having a lot of debates on our nightly Browns Roundtable podcast, on the Orange and Brown podcast, about, is the cap real? Is the cap fake? Should they worry about it? Is it no big deal? And I know people disagree about that. I think the Browns are going to be smart. They're going to look for market efficiencies and inefficiencies. Where can they go? I thought the idea of, hey, there's not that many great safeties on the market. John Johnson's one of them. Go get him. There's a million edge rushers. Don't get caught up in the top edge of that. I think the Browns, and I hope fans don't get frustrated by it, but if they are in on a lot of guys that they end up not signing, that means they're interested in good players at the right price. And they want to talk, they want to investigate, and they have a spot. We'll pay this much. And often another team's going to say, oh, we need this guy. We'll go there. And so the Browns don't win out. I think that's good business. I don't think that's a failure. It's like, oh, they were in on J.J. Watt and didn't get him. Okay, maybe Arizona went somewhere they don't want to go. Maybe there's other S. Rogers they checked on who would have made more than Takk McKinley, but they didn't want to go as high as some other teams. I think that's good business. So you find your team's needs, but you also think about the market. You think about roster building as a whole, not just making a splash in free agency. And I think they have a very calculated approach to how they want to build this roster and win now and win in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think the front office has done a great job, and it's about time you get somebody in that front office down there that knows what they're doing, and I think Andrew Berry has shown that. Well, another news, it's past 4 o'clock. It's the start of the league new year. So David Njoku is kind of celebrating as his $6 million contract is guaranteed, and we'll show you what he put up on Twitter. And, yeah, he's happy to be here. He gets his $6 million contract. How important is David Njoku? He played really well in that Chiefs game, Doug.
Yeah, and it's hard. He's right at that point in his career where I still think a lot of it's potential with David Njoku. I think we all think that he still can show more and do more than he's done so far, but he came a long way as a blocker last year. He still can be very dangerous when you get him the ball. We know how important tight ends are to this system for what the Browns do. And this is one of those instances, for instance, like if you believe the cap is real, you know, if you would have paid $14 million for an edge rusher instead of $4 million, are you sure David Njoku still fits on this team, right? That this is one of those, okay, $6 million for David Njoku, keep him, have 3 tight ends you believe in this year that fits the Kevin Stefanski offense, see what kind of year Njoku has. These are the kind of things that if you say, hey, why didn't they spend more somewhere else? I would point to moves like this. We're keeping David Njoku, our guy who we think can help us.
Yeah, and still, you know, intriguing in the fact he's a young guy with an interesting skill set from the tight end position. Let me ask you this. So the Browns have added John Johnson. The Ravens added Kevin Zeitler, but they lost Matthew Judon. They also lost Yannick Ngakoue, another talented edge rusher. Steelers are probably going to lose J.J. Smith-Schuster. He's telling people he's probably not going to be back. Connor's not going to be back. The Bengals flip-flopped Lawson for Hendrickson. They've got some issues that they haven't addressed on the offensive line. Are the Browns kind of tightening that gap between where the Ravens were, where the Steelers were, and where they are, even more so day 2 into legalized tampering and the day 1 of the new league year.
When you say tighten the gap, are you implying that the Browns were behind them coming into free agency?
Well,
I might argue the Browns are enlarging the gap.
All right, I'll buy that. Point taken, but it's pretty significant. I mean, if you lose Matthew Judon and you lose Yannick Ngakoue from the Ravens defense, you're going to have a little bit more time to throw the football against them.
But it's why you have to do free agency. You can't only look at the plus column. You've got to balance the pluses and the minuses at the same time. And if you do think the Browns should have added more pluses, show me the minuses, right? They don't have, Terrence Mitchell, Kendall Lamb. I get it. There's going to be some guys. They are not losing guys that they really, really need to win because they can't afford to pay guys that they want to keep, right? So this is how it works. I mean, you didn't mention, also the Steelers lost a lot of guys. Bud Dupree, right? I mean, the Steelers are going to be very different. Like you watch, if you follow any Steelers defensive players on Twitter, they're kind of sad about some of these guys going out the door. The Steelers are not going to be as good. They restructured Ben to keep him around. Yes, the Ravens added offensive line help, but they really had a lot of guys who were part of their pass rush who they knew they weren't going to be able to keep them all. I wrote a column right before free agency started that I think the Browns have as much continuity, coaching, front office, quarterback, offensive line, keeping their good players. They are in the absolute top group in the league. They are not losing. They are not losing anybody that matters. So they are all about the plus column right now. And John Johnson's a big plus. Takk McKinley is some level of plus. And we can't forget there's not any minuses here. And almost everybody else that matters has some minuses.
Doug Lesmerises, columnist here on cleveland.com, as well as for the Plain Dealer. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll get Doug's thoughts about Ohio State spring football and March Madness as the Buckeyes basketball team goes dancing. CLE for Sports. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports 4 CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. Let's get right back to Doug Lesmerises, columnist here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of Plain Dealer. Doug, spring football right around the corner for the Buckeyes. Who are some names we should listen out for and pay attention to from the Buckeyes on the football field this spring?
Yeah, practice starts Friday. Obviously, a big-time quarterback competition. They don't have a quarterback in that competition who has ever thrown a pass in a college football game. So second-year guys, C.J. Stroud and Jack Miller, true freshman Kyle McCord, that will be the number one thing. But another thing, Ryan Day, and we talked to him on Wednesday, wants to get sorted out. They have two true freshmen coming in the backfield, five-star recruit Travion Henderson, also Evan Pryor. They have Master Teague coming back, three other guys in that room. He would like to get the running back spot sorted out a little bit by the end of spring, and Travion Henderson is definitely the guy to watch there. My guess is that Travion Henderson is the starting running back as a true freshman when we get to the fall. But the other name that Ryan Day sort of brought up on his own, and I'm always curious when coaches, it's not that they get asked about a guy and say something nice, it's that they find a way to say something on their own about this guy. That was Zach Harrison. Third-year defensive end, was a five-star recruit. He's been a good player. He's been a good player for them for 2 years. But when he was recruited, you thought he might be one of those next guys like the Bosa brothers and Chase Young, and he has not yet been to that level. Ryan Day talking about what Zach Harrison has done this offseason puts me on alert that maybe we are looking at that kind of jump from Zach Harrison, where you go from being a good player to an All-American kind of player in his junior year at defensive end for Ohio State.
Buckeyes got a number 2 seed, had a nice run in the Big Ten tournament, lost in overtime to Illinois. Oral Roberts, first-round matchup. What do you expect to see from the Buckeyes on the hardwood as they get ready for March Madness?
A lot of scoring in this first one. Oral Roberts leads the nation in three-pointers made per game. They have two guys who are big-time scorers. They have a point guard who averages 24 a game, kind of an inside-outside big man who averages 18. They're going to get up and down in this one. That's pretty good for Ohio State. They can score with almost anybody. Ohio State's issue is, are they going to get on the defensive end beaten up by teams that have more size? That's not Oral Roberts, and I'm not sure there's anybody in their region that really is going to do that to them, which is why when you look at Ohio State as a 2 seed, they have a chance to make a run here. Ohio State has not had a run, not had a fun NCAA tournament since they made the Elite Eight in 2013. They've won 3 games since then, but they've all been one win and out, or lose right away or don't make it. So March is fun. Ohio State basketball fans got accustomed to some really fun Marches. It's been 8 years now. And I do think, they have a chance to make the Final Four. I didn't pick them to make the Final Four, but I think this Oral Roberts opening round game should be pretty fun. And I think they do have a really good chance to at least get to the Sweet 16.
Doug Lesmerises, columnist for cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. As always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Doug.
Thank you.
Doug Lesmerises, one of our favorites at cleveland.com. We're going to step aside. That'll do it for this edition of Sports 4 CLE. Thursday, rather. Man, I'm losing track of my days. Mary Kay Cabot, scheduled guest. Jim Rosenhaus, voice of the Indians, scheduled guest. And we will have Matt Gould on to talk about the high school Final Four that will take place down in Dayton. We will see you again tomorrow, Thursday, right here on Sports 4 CLE. Have a great day, everybody.